Okay, you open your inbox, and there it is, an email probably from, I don't know, a brand you barely remember, starting with that all too familiar hi name.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there.
I mean, how many times have we all just grained seeing that? Your finger is already hovering over the delete key, isn't it? It's like a reflex now.
It is.
Why does that seemingly personalized touch feel so, well, so impersonal?
Mhm.
Well, turns out it's not just you being cynical. It's actually rooted in how our brains are wired. And that's what we're really diving into today.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to unpack why personalization, when it's done right, is incredibly powerful, why those, superficial attempts often fail spectacularly,
Mhm.
and how understanding some basic neuroscience can actually help us craft messages that genuinely resonate.
That's the goal. Our mission for this deep dive is really to explore that crucial difference between just recognition, like, okay, you see your name, and genuine relevance in how we communicate.
Recognition versus relevance. I like that.
Exactly. And we'll be using insights from neuroscience and also from account-based marketing, ABM, which, for anyone less familiar, is really about that intense focus on specific high-value accounts instead of just, casting a wide net.
Right. Super targeted.
Super targeted.
Yeah.
We want to show you how to create experiences that truly make your audience feel like a message was actually built for them.
Okay, so let's go back to that high name email then. We know it grabs maybe a tiny sliver of attention initially.
Maybe for a split second.
Right, but simple token personalization like that often backfires.
Right.
Why is that? What's the sort of fundamental issue there?
It's quite simple, actually. Our brains, they're constantly performing this high-speed relevance check, right?
Yeah.
Filtering out what doesn't immediately signal this is important for me, just to conserve cognitive energy.
Makes sense. Information overload.
Totally. So that shallow personalization. To our brains, it's essentially just noise,
Yeah.
easily ignored. We are basically wired to filter out the irrelevant.
There is this one piece of research I saw in the sources that really clarified when personalization starts to actually work against you. Could you maybe walk us through those findings, that meta-analysis?
Oh, absolutely. It's fascinating. There's this meta-analysis of 53 studies by Yale and their team. It's due out in 2025. They looked at personalized ads across like 11,000 people.
Oh.
And what they found was pretty striking. Personalization works only when recipients feel it was intended for someone like me.
Okay, someone like me.
Not just my name. Exactly.
Right.
Think about that. The crucial point here is that just putting hi first name
Mm-hmm.
without meaningful content behind it, it actually reduces click-throughs,
Reduces them, not just fails to increase them.
reduces them. And what's maybe even more surprising, getting a name wrong, like using a last name instead of a first or misspelling it, that can be worse than no name at all. It seriously hurts engagement and,
Yeah.
crucially, trust.
Worse than no name at all. That's a powerful warning. So if personalization without substance actively hurts, what's the core insight here for, say, marketers listening?
Well, the insight is pretty stark. Personalization without insight equals lost credibility. Simple as that.
Ouch.
Yeah. And many marketers, let's be honest, have learned this the hard way. Just adding a name, slapping a logo on something that isn't true personalization. It's just formatting, really.
Right. Window dressing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And customers can spot those template-based tactics from miles away. And when they do, boom, trust just plummets. It's a clear case where, yeah, doing it wrong is definitely worse than not doing it at all.
Okay, so if shallow personalization is a bust, what's the fundamental human truth, or maybe the neurological secret, that explains why true personalization is so incredibly effective when it works?
This is where it gets really interesting. It comes down to something called the self-reference effect.
Okay.
Think about it like this. You're in a noisy, crowded room, right? Lots of chatter, background noise, and suddenly someone says your name.
Yeah, your head snaps around.
Instantly, your attention just snaps right to it. That's a powerful neurological signal. We are fundamentally wired to stop, listen, remember, and even act when something feels genuinely personal, truly about us.
That makes total sense. So it's not just recognizing the name, but it's the feeling of relevance behind it that gets the brain's attention.
Precisely. What's compelling here is that it's the perceived relevance, not just the recognition, that really drives results. When communication makes people feel genuinely understood as individuals.
Understood. That's key.
Yes. Then they respond positively. It's about connecting on a deeper, much more meaningful level than just a name tag.
And the hard data we looked at, absolutely supports this, doesn't it? I mean, personalized emails, 41% higher click-through rates, 29% higher open rates. That's experience data.
Huge numbers.
And McKinsey reported back in 2021, companies using personalization well saw 40% more revenue. Plus, yes, marketing found a massive 81% of consumers just ignore irrelevant messages entirely.
They just tune it out.
Completely. And the payoff, companies excelling at this see revenue lifts of 10, 15%, sometimes even over 25% for the top performers. I mean, that's a lot of potential value sitting there.
It really is. So what does this all mean for true personalization?
Yeah.
It means it's really about substance, not just form.
Right.
In today's marketing landscape, particularly in ABM, it's just not optional anymore. It's operational. You have to do it.
It's table stakes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Effective personalization uses personal data as, like, a starting point, sure, but it absolutely must follow through with content that is genuinely pertinent to the individual. And this isn't simple stuff.
No.
It requires listening for key signals, things like buying intent showing up,
Yeah.
leadership changes, budget cycles may be shifting.
Yeah.
It needs context, understanding what's actually happening in that specific account or their industry right now. And crucially, it demands empathy. Truly knowing or making an educated guess about what does this person right now really need to hear.
That combination signals context, empathy. And this idea is articulated really well by Josh Wheel and Lucy Jones from DashDot. They had this great quote: "You don't need hyper-personalization everywhere. Personalize what matters when it matters most."
I love that. It cuts right through the noise, doesn't it?
It really does. So what does that actually look like in practice? For people listening, how do you apply that?
Yeah, it translates into practical strategies, like using light modular messaging at the cluster level. So tailoring content for groups of similar accounts, not necessarily every single one individually at first.
Okay.
Then using signal-driven escalation to one-to-few or one-to-one ABM. This means you ramp up the personalization maybe for a small group of really high-value accounts or even just one critical client, but only when specific triggers tell you they're showing high intent.
So you focus the intense effort where it counts most.
Exactly. And ultimately designing orchestrated journeys, not isolated assets, making sure every touch point builds on the last one, creating a coherent story, not just random acts of marketing.
That makes sense because, like you said earlier, the human brain loves coherence. Right?
Precisely. Our brains pay attention to messaging that feels relevant, timely, and, importantly, emotionally congruent, fits together.
Right.
That's why personalization is fundamentally an experience design strategy, much more than just a marketing trick. It's about crafting that seamless, relevant journey for the buyer.
And Josh and Lucy from DashDot hit on another really key point there. Personalization isn't just what you say. It's when you say it and why you're saying it.
The timing and the why, crucial.
Totally. So whether it's how you time your content, which channel you choose, the tone of your message, the golden rule seems to be make your audience feel like this message was genuinely built for them.
That's the benchmark.
Now, you've probably heard the idea kicking around that B2B buyers expect B2C-like experiences. This isn't just, a throwaway line. The sources suggest it's a critical warning.
It really is.
McKinsey found 71% of consumers expect personalized interactions, and 76% get frustrated when they don't get them. These aren't just B2C stats anymore, are they?
No, not at all.
Those expectations don't magically vanish when someone sits down at their work computer. Today's B2B audiences, they're used to these hyper-personalized digital experiences everywhere else.
Right, in their consumer lives.
Exactly. So when your generic B2B outreach lands in their inbox, it just feels, outdated and jarring. It feels like you didn't even try.
Yeah, like you didn't do your homework. It's actually compelling when you look at McKinsey's must-have capabilities for scalable personalization. They map almost directly onto what we do in high-performing ABM teams.
How so?
Well, take data and analytics. That means building microsegments using behavioral transactional data. I mean, it's fundamental to account-based targeting and intent monitoring.
Okay.
Or rapid activation. That's about deploying content and offers in real time, which lets you engage at just the right moment in those critical buying cycles.
Timing again.
Always. Then fit for purpose MarTech, making sure you have targeted tools that actually support deep personalization, not just some bloated generic system that can't adapt.
Right, the right tools for the job.
Exactly. An agile operating model ensures you have cross-functional teams working together, rapid testing, essential for iterative ABM campaigns. And finally, talent and training. You need people with specific skills in analytics, product marketing, performance marketing. B2B demands that blend of deep domain knowledge and data smarts.
Okay, so you have the mindset, you have the capabilities. Armed with all that, how do you actually go about building a message for one person? Where do you even begin with that?
Good question. You have to start with insight.
Mhm.
Always insight first. Then you build your campaign around what we called felt relevant.
To felt
Yep.
relevance.
Practically, this means doing things like strategic tiering, figuring out who really needs that deep one-to-one treatment. You simply can't personalize everything for everyone at that level.
Resource allocation, basically.
Exactly. It also involves using tools like message matrices. Think of it as a strategic framework, ensuring, say, the CFO gets the ROI message they care about, while maybe the IT head sees the integration benefits, all tailored to their specific role and pain points.
So mapping content to personas or even individuals?
Precisely. And finally, using empathy-driven sequencing for your touchpoints, making sure each interaction builds trust logically. Because remember, consistency builds belief. A super personalized landing page doesn't mean much if the follow-up email is just generic boilerplate.
Right. The whole journey needs to feel connected. That's a lot to consider, but it really crystallizes the challenge. And I guess it's complicated even further by the fact that purchasing decisions aren't made by one person, right?
Oh, absolutely not. We're talking, on average, somewhere between 6 and maybe even 20 people involved in any major B2B purchasing decision.
6 to 20. Wow.
Yeah. So your personalization can't just stop at the account level. It needs to be tailored down to the specific role and often the individual person within that account.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about a CFO. They probably need messaging focused on ROI, maybe cost savings, financial metrics. But the end users of your product, they need to hear about ease of use, how it makes their job better.
Different priorities.
Totally different. And the technical stakeholders. They'll want details on integration, security, scalability, and you can go even deeper than roles sometimes.
How so?
Well, imagine a CFO who views your solution not just as a cost center, but as a strategic investment for future growth. If you hit them with only cost-cutting messages.
You'll miss the mark completely.
Exactly. You haven't understood their specific perspective, their strategic view. You have to tune into that.
So the ultimate goal here, it sounds like, isn't just to grab attention anymore. You're really trying to earn belief.
That's it. Earn belief.
In ABM, that means speaking directly to the actual pain points that stakeholder lives with daily, using the kind of language they use in their own meetings, and addressing the outcomes they are personally accountable for delivering.
Nail that on the head.
And if you get this right, you won't just see clicks, you'll actually spark meaningful conversations.
That's the difference. Looking ahead slightly, AI. It definitely holds a lot of promise for doing this personalization at scale, right? Processing massive data sets, tailoring content with incredible precision.
Yeah, everyone's talking about AI for personalization.
Rightly so in many ways. But it's vital to understand that the critical guardrails still matter. As the DashDot team put it quite clearly, AI without human strategy equals automated irrelevance.
Automated irrelevance. I like that. Scary, but accurate.
It is. So while AI can be a powerful tool to help you adapt and scale, everything must still be rooted in genuine insight, understanding buyer intent, and that crucial element of empathy. AI amplifies strategy. It doesn't replace it.
That's a really important distinction to make. Okay, so circling back, then let's try and synthesize this. Why does personalization, when done well, cut through all the noise and land so effectively? It seems to circle right back to how the brain actually processes information. Neuroscience seems to reveal maybe 3 key principles that explain why relevance always wins. First, apparently, emotionally congruent messaging triggers attention. Our brains spot emotional alignment fast.
Because you're wired for it.
Yeah. So if your message mirrors a buyer's fears, maybe their frustrations or their aspirations, it earns a place in their, mental inbox. Research shows we retain emotionally salient stuff way better than just neutral facts.
Absolutely. Emotion equals attention and memory.
Second, relevant signals create cognitive shortcuts. The brain is constantly filtering, that we said, and what gets through are those cues that basically scream, hey, this is about you. And this is much more than just hi first name. It's about aligning the tone, the offer, the channel, everything to the buyer's current moment, their context.
Right. The what's in it for me right now.
Exactly. And finally, number 3, memory loves fluency, timing, and surprise. We seem to prefer messages that feel easy to absorb. That's the fluency effect. Makes sense.
Less cognitive load.
Right. But we also remember what interrupts a pattern. What stands out salience. And what comes first? Or what gets repeated at just the right moment, primacy and recency effects.
Hmm.
This is where that sequencing, orchestration, and insight-based timing become absolutely crucial.
Couldn't agree more. And a key insight pulling this all together is that personalization is an experience, not just a subject line.
Right. It's holistic.
It really is. We personalize not just to show we know you, but crucially, to help the receiver's brain react by saying, okay, this is for me. Recognition might grab a flicker of attention. But relevance. Relevance earns belief.
And belief drives action.
And belief is ultimately what drives action. Yes.
So to kind of summarize our deep dive today, look, every ABM team out there says we put the customer first. It's almost a mantra.
You hear it all the time.
Right. And here's how you actually prove it. You personalize with relevance, not just recognition. You build your messaging from real deep insight into their world. And you create buyer journeys that feel coherent, considered, and genuinely human.
Well said. Because really, when a message truly feels like it was made for them, it doesn't just drive clicks or sales. Those are outcomes, sure. But fundamentally, it builds profound trust and lasting memory.
Trust and memory, powerful combination.
Very. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Consider how this deeper understanding of relevance might fundamentally shift your own approach to communication. Not just in marketing, but maybe personally, professionally. How do you make things feel truly relevant to others?